Hi there everyone, this is Teacher Tine, and in today's review, our episode is focused on the subject Language Education Research. So this will serve as your preparation for the upcoming licensure examination for teachers. At the same time, this will also test your knowledge that you had gained. So a few reminders that every question we have allotted 5 seconds for you to think, and I do hope that your pen and paper was already ready with you. So now, let's start. So for the number 1, okay, so let's first analyze the question number 1. In the list, interviews, speeches, letters, what type of research sources are the following? So the answer is letter A, primary source. Why? It is because when we say in research, there are two types of sources, secondary and primary sources. When we say primary source, basically, it is the resources where it is being directly gathered from the original source of the information. When we say original, you first-hand record or gather this information. And opposite to this is the secondary source, wherein the materials or the informations that you gathered in your research to support your study is not directly being recorded to the origin of the information. And descriptive source is also incorrect because descriptive source is a specific type of secondary source where it aims to describe the informations, or it aims to describe certain information that is connected to your study. So now let's proceed on the number 2. Time's up. Now let's analyze the question number 2. Why does C is the answer? Why does phenomenological study is the answer? If you will be looking closely to the title, the underlying origin of using brain rot language within Generation C, it aims to explore certain phenomena that is happening. And when we say brain rot language, if you are familiar with the term tralala tralala, ballerina cappuccina, and tung 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 sahur, those are the examples of brain rot language that is being famous in the internet nowadays. And brain rot language, or usage of the brain rot language is a phenomena that is experiencing. And phenomenological study is about exploring phenomena, certain phenomena, to know its pattern. Why does this phenomena is happening? And how does this phenomena happens and experiences by the participants of the study? Therefore, phenomenological study is the answer. And grounded theory is incorrect because when we say grounded theory, it is about developing a certain theory. But if you will be looking closely to the title, we are not developing, or we are not using certain theory about it. And histography, from the term itself, it talks about history. Now let's proceed on the question number 3. So let's analyze the question number 3. The key term in this question is the term specific source of data. And when we say specific, this is where your data directly came from. Now, all of these choices can be a potential of your source of data. However, how does these three is different to each other? And why does C is the correct answer? Now, let's have an example for an instance. For instance, you as a researcher, you want to explore or you want to test the language competence of the English majors in Cavite State University IMAS campus. Now, the population of your research will be the entire group of English majors coming from first year to fourth year. That will be the population. Sample is more specific than population because this is where your participants came from. This is a specific source of data where you came from. For instance, you want to explore specifically the language competence of the fourth year English major students. Therefore, your sample would be the fourth year English major students. Now, Participants. Participants is the answer because when we say participants, participants is the direct people or direct individual who participated in your study. Now, let's proceed on the question number 4. Time's up. Now, let's have the number 4. So, number 4 is asking, what is the proper APA 7th edition format? So, citation is being used to cite properly the informations that you gather or you as a researcher use in your study to support your research. Now, the proper format of APA would be like this: surname, comma, first initial name of the author, then period, then in close, open and close parenthesis with the year, followed by the comma, and the title of the research or title of the sources that you use. Then next is period. Then afterwards, if your sources came from online, it should be cited the website where the article or the resources came from. Then if it's book, it should be cited or it should cite the publication of this book. Then followed by another period again, then link if it's online. Then if it's book, it should be followed the edition of the book, then the page number of the book. That's why in number 4, the correct answer is letter A. Then B and C is incorrect because B uses comma instead of period. If you will be looking closely, after the year, after the year, comma is being followed. The next is the title, then comma again. It is an example of 6th edition of APA format. And C is incorrect also because if you will see, the author is being written by its full name and the date is not being enclosed with open and close parentheses. So now let's proceed on the question number 5. Time's up. So let's have the number 5. So a type of non-probability sampling that relies on the purpose of the research study. So obviously, the key term in this question is the term purpose. Therefore, the answer is letter C. Because when we say purposive sampling, this is a type of non-probability sampling wherein a researcher gather participants based on the purpose of the study given by the criteria along with it. And A is incorrect, snowball sampling, because when we say snowball sampling, it's like a domino effect, wherein the researcher will have these certain participants that's still connected to the study. Then these participants will gather other participants that she or he knows to answer or to be participated or to be participant of the study. It's like snowball. It became larger and larger when it spread. And B is also incorrect, quota sampling, because when you say quota sampling, the researcher gather or the researcher randomly pick individuals or participants until they reach or until the researcher reach a certain specific number or quota in the research. Let's proceed on the question number 6. Time's up. Now, in the question 6, in the research question, why did you conduct your study? What is the main point in your study that is being asked in this question? So, this is one of the most common research question that is being asked when you defend your study. Why did you conduct your research? So, the key term in this question is the term why. Why did you conduct? Why did you conduct this study? What is the purpose why you conduct this study? So the correct answer is A, objective. Because when we say objective, it is the main point. What is the purpose of your study? Why did you conduct this study? It answers the objective of your study. What does your study aims to provide or aims to prove? That's why when this research question is being asked, the main point that is being pointed in this question is the objective of your study. So B is incorrect because it is covered with the chapter 5 or the results and discussion of your study. And C, methods, cover by the chapter 3 or the methodology of your study, wherein what is the samples or what is the methods that you as a researcher is being used. Let's proceed on the question number 7. Question number 7, what is the main goal of action research in language classroom? When we say action research, it is one of the type of research that is commonly used in language education classroom, wherein it aims to provide an action to a certain problem. Therefore, the question number 7 answers, or the answer in question number 7 is C, to solve practical problems and improve teaching practices. Because as we know, when we say action research, it is about finding a solution to a certain problem, and it aims to provide certain improvement or practices to resolve this certain problem. And A is incorrect, to generalize findings to other settings, because this will fall on to the conclusion part of your research. And B is also incorrect, because B will be fall on to the chapter 1 of your research, and it can also be possible in the chapter 2 of your research, wherein it aims to provide or it aims to prove a hypothesis or a theory. Or in other words, this can be the foundation why you conduct this certain research. You provide or you prove certain hypothesis or certain theory, or an example of grounded theory type of research. So in number 8, if we will be analyzing it, it is being asked what is the best method to use in exploring spoken language in a multilingual classroom. So the answer is letter C, observation. Why? Because actually all of this can be used as a data collection method, but observation is the best among all, because it requires your senses to observe certain pattern of usage of language. Meaning to say, the researcher or this data collection method provide a first-hand experience for the researcher to record how does language is being used in a certain multilingual classroom. And A is incorrect, questioner, because questioner's answer may not be accurate, and it can be prone for the untruthful or to the untruthful answer, because it can be easily manipulated. And B is also incorrect, because interview, for somehow it is also difficult to visualize how does language is being used in a certain classroom. Therefore, the best choice among 3 of these choices is observation. Now, let's proceed on question number 9. Time is up. Okay, so for question number 9, what do you call the things or aspects that are beyond the researcher's control that needs to be considered in conducting their study? So the question or the answer for question number 9 is letter B, ethical considerations. So what is ethical considerations? So when we say ethical considerations, these are the factors that is outside the research, but it can be a potential affective factor that might affect this study. Therefore, even though it is beyond the researcher's control, researchers are still responsible to consider these ethical considerations, because this might affect how does their study will be done. And A is incorrect, because when we say informed consent form, it is a form that is being given by the participants before conducting the study, because the researcher is asking their consent if this certain participants is willing to be part of the research. And C, confidentiality privacy, it is also connected to the choice A, informed consent form, because it is connected, or it is one of the characteristic of informed consent form, wherein it protects the privacy of the participants or the people who will become part of a research study. So for the last question, number 10. Time is up. Okay, so number 10, last. Which word that best describes the characteristic of a research about having a characterized order of plan, system, and methods? So the key term in this question is characterized order. it aims to have, or this is one of the characteristic of a research that needs to consider, wherein it should be in order, it should be organized from the beginning up to the last chapter of your research. Therefore, the best words that describe this characteristic is systematic, which is number A. Because when we say systematic, systematic is about being organized, being or having a system, or having a concrete plan about the plans to involve in the research, the methods to use, and the plans that needs to be in part for the successful of the research. And B, objectivity is incorrect, because when we say objectivity or objectivity, it is about not being biased or avoiding bias in the research. And C, factual, it consists of truth or fact information. And that concludes our review. I do hope that this video became helpful in reviewing for your licensure examination for teacher. At the same time, I do hope that you get that license that you deserve. Again, this is Teacher Tine from Teacher Gela. Thank you so much for watching.